very fortunate, and from the very beginning, our progress was guided by someone who had attained the highest realization. So if you follow this teaching very carefully, and you read it and understand it very scrutinizingly, meaning, as we said before, you take a dictionary and look up each word, then you will be in a position to determine if someone is really fully self-realized. The actual criteria of full self-realization is that one knows his eternal identity in relationship with God. Not just in a general way. For example, anyone can say, "Oh, I'm a servant of God." And yes, that is true. We are all servants of God. But exactly which form of God and in which pastime, on which eternal planet, and what is your role in service, and how does that relate to your particular psychological makeup, and so on and so forth. This is a very detailed science, and you can read all about it in the book Nectar of Devotion, and I'll include a link to that in the blog post. Nectar of Devotion gives this complete science, and you should be familiar with all these things actually before accepting a guru that will make it possible for you to make the right choice. So yes, the esoteric teaching is a big deal. It literally determines your ability to chart your course in the spiritual world, to attain the spiritual destination of your choice. And when I say your choice, in one sense, our spiritual destination is inevitable, because our eternal identity is already there. It's already fixed. We just have to discover it. On the other hand, part of that discovery involves making an existential choice about who we want to be for all eternity. The esoteric teaching is like a menu, and it gives us a wide variety of potential destinations in the next life. Which one of those are we going to attain? Which one are we going to strive for? And which one are we going to accept? Well, of course, one should strive for the highest destination that is compatible with one's real nature. The difficulty then is to come to a knowledge of one's real spiritual nature. Well, the good news is that it's already there, and we simply have to look into ourselves and find it. The difficulty is we've been conditioned with so many bogus material ideas of who we are. Oh, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a member of such and such a family, and I come from this country and that state, and so on. And my career is in such and such, and my degree is in so-and-so, and I'm married to so-and-so person, and I have 3.2 kids and 2.6 cars and whatever. These are all material considerations. They will not help us in spiritual life. We have to get past this superficial idea of who we are, defined as a material being, and get to our real spiritual essence. And as we have repeated over and over again, this begins from the concept that I am a spirit soul. I am consciousness. And to understand the laws of consciousness, the laws of spirit that guide the development of consciousness, and the logic of spiritual emotion, spiritual love, because this is the only real love. Other forms of love will not satisfy us because they're not perfect. And material love, like everything material, is temporary. So we have to get beyond this misconception of the self as a material entity. And this is what the esoteric teaching is here to help us do. This is what has to happen as a candidate in the exoteric circle of the teaching. That one gets rid of this concept of the self as a material entity and begins to accept the concept of the self as a spiritual entity. Then, after initiation, one begins to develop knowledge of the different spiritual realms, which are quite extensive, and can ultimately accept a particular destination among the spiritual planets as one's heart's desire. Now, what does that mean? That means that our eternal identity becomes revealed to us through the mercy of the Master Teacher and God, and that from within, and not from without, but spontaneously from within, we come to recognize, not speculate, not create, not imagine, but actually recognize our real identity in spiritual reality. And this is our eternal identity. This is our eternal relationship with God, which is the only thing that will make us really, really happy. Because everything else in this material world is temporary. Only the absolute truth is eternal. And only our real spiritual identity will make us happy. Everything else is just a stopgap solution. It's just a phony cover-up for the real solution. We have to find this real solution if we are going to attain spiritual happiness. If this sounds like a big deal, well, it is a big deal. And it may take decades to work through all this material. Well, that's all right. We're going to be here for all of eternity. Whether we like it or not, we're eternal spiritual beings. We can't change that. We already have eternal life, just not in one body. We keep going from body to body because that's the nature of the material world. Therefore, let us make a firm determination that while we're in this body, let us dedicate ourselves to finding the real solutions to the problems of life. Let us dedicate ourselves to learning the esoteric teaching and finding the real path to the spiritual world, so that we can finally realize our eternal identity and attain our perfect bodies. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of My Perfect Body. This is David Hughes, your host, reminding you to visit us on the web at esotericteaching.org, where you can purchase the complete Esoteric Teaching Introductory Seminar DVD and many CDs of transcendental music and mantras.